Accompanying a written statement with the signing of a bill is not unusual. Other presidents have done this before.
Oh, that's right. It's actually almost predictable behavior when there's legislation that a president has to sign that he doesn't want to sign. And there's different kinds of messages you can broadcast in a signing statement. One is to essentially broadcast that you're planning on evading some of the requirements of the law. That's not what this one does, although it does raise the specter of unconstitutionality in some areas. And whenever a president says he'll carry out a law based on his constitutional responsibilities, you can always read that potentially as wiggle room, but really the president has very little recourse but to carry this out. In fact, the legislation says that it's up to Congress to decide at this point when these sanctions are no longer needed, and it's such a veto-proof majority that it was clear to the White House that he would be overridden if he tried to veto it.
It obviously limits the executive power's ability here to alter sanctions on Russia, which clearly he was frustrated about too. But I think that he also made some very important points here, and that was, how is this ultimately going to impact negotiations over things like North Korea, over Syria, where Russia needs to be a vital partner in that. But also the fact that we've had pushback from the Europeans already saying, hang on a second, if this hurts us in this, there's going to be trouble there too.
Yeah, that's precisely right. Really, his complaints fall into two categories. One is encroachment on executive authority. That's the predictable part. And the second is the idea that everyone from Afghanistan to Germany and the EU could be impacted by this sort of downstream in terms of the application of the Russian sanctions, and that the U.S. as a result could be impacted in its ability to work with allies and to work on a multilateral fashion with allies. And the president is bolstered in making this argument exactly by the fact that particularly Germany has spoken up and voiced real concerns about this. In the short term, it doesn't matter. In the long, the Congress has decided that this is what it wants, and the president's going to have to carry it out. In the longer term, the president is doing two things. He's trying to give a path for Congress to rescind this and revert to a sort of a version of a sanctions legislation that gives him a little more wiggle room on waivers. He's also trying to send a signal to U.S. allies and to Russia, in fact, that this wasn't his idea, and he's kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, and the problem is they just lack any form of coherent strategy on Russia because of the ongoing investigations. It's just a real
pickle?
Pickle, perfect word.
That's a pickle. And it's precisely why Congress did this. They felt like he had left them no choice.
Yeah.